Greetings, Benjamin J. from Ben's Trains with another in the series. Well, power is back on, as you can see. Was off for several hours. Anyway, a follow-up on that Marx Commodore Vanderbilt wind-up conversion. Went through the garage. I was out of primer, so I went out to see what I had. Went through the garage when the power came back on. And I found some 2X Ultra Cover paint and primer, semi-gloss black. So I gave that a try. And as you see, the results are more than satisfactory. I mean, you really cannot tell that this was a wind-up locomotive. It actually doesn't look bad at all, as you see. I've also got the finials painted, and I painted them chrome. Here's the result. Now, how I do this is the finials, the stack, the bezel for the headlight, all have little tabs on them that you bend over to hold them in place. So you just take the tabs, straighten them, and stick them into a piece of cardboard. And then, as you see, I've sprayed them chrome. So it's going to be quite a contrast, chrome with black. So I'll see what this looks like when it's actually dry. I'll probably give it another coat. And if I'm happy with it, it's semi-gloss, as you see. It's not textured. And even so, that repair does not show. The slot is completely covered. The hole in the side is completely covered. So it only took actually a few hours to do this. Most of it was waiting for the epoxy to cure and then filing everything down flush. But as you see, this actually looks quite respectable, considering it was an $8 wind-up or $10 wind-up. Don't really remember. Anyway, it's a really, really simple process to do this. And as you see, it is more than acceptable. So when this is good and dry, I'll give it another coat, and then I'll add the finials just to see what it looks like. I might leave it like this. I was going to paint it with the textured paint, but this seems to hide everything that needed to be hid. As you see, I need another spray right here on the rear, and another spray on this side. This was just actually 2 light coats. So I'll give this another few coats, let it set till it's good and dry. Tomorrow, technically, it would be finished and ready to run. The finials are completely dry. I did that yesterday. And as you see, you just take those tabs and stick them down into the cardboard, and that captures them, holds them good and tight. Then I just sprayed this with chrome spray paint, as you see. And then the Commodore Vanderbilt itself actually looks pretty good. Another couple of coats of this Ultra Cover paint and primer, and we might call this complete. So I need to respray the back here and then give the entire thing a good going over all the way around. This is 2 light coats, just enough to cover the body. I wanted to see what the result would be. But as you see, it's more than acceptable looking. You would never know that this was a wind-up locomotive. The hole is completely invisible. The slot is gone. And once this is sprayed, this is actually going to look quite respectable, I think. It's going to look pretty good. Anyway, I just want to do a follow-up video on this. As you see, it's glossy, which is semi-gloss, they call it. But this is actually quite glossy. And I'll see if I'm going to spray it with the textured paint or not. I actually don't think it needs it. So I'll let this dry for another hour or so. I'll give it a couple of coats and take it from there. Anyway, I was completely out of my basic primer, and I went out in the garage to see what I had and came across this. This is almost empty, but there's enough in it to do this. So I'll do a follow-up when this is finished, and like I said, very likely I'll go ahead and put the finials on just to see what it's going to look like. But I think this is going to work. I don't know if I'm going to need the textured paint or not. This actually doesn't look too bad, as you see. So the slot is gone, the hole in the side is gone, and this is going to look like a brand new locomotive. And of course, the contrast is going to be quite striking. You know, these bright chrome finials on this shiny black locomotive. So it's worth the time. It only takes a few minutes. The nice thing about it is it gives you a custom locomotive made from an old battered wind-up. And like I said, you can take some really, really nasty old locomotives, and a lot of these windups are just beat to death. And they're really basic. There are no handrails on them. And it's really easy to refinish them for that very reason. Just pull the finials off, fill the hole in the side, the slot in the top, a few minutes with a file, and paint it, as you see. And this is paint and primer all in one. So we'll see how this is going to look. But I'll let this dry for a good hour or so, and then respray it, and we'll take it from there. But I think this is going to be more than acceptable looking. And once the finials are on it, it's going to look like a brand new locomotive. I might spray it with the textured paint. I prefer textured to this gloss, that's for sure. So we'll see how this goes. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick follow-up so you could see the progress so far. It actually doesn't look bad. It does not look bad at all, as you can tell. You would never know that this was a wind-up locomotive, an old battered wind-up locomotive at that. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick follow-up video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.